Gregory.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City Council for regular agenda for Tuesday, October 3rd. If we can start with Madam Clerk reading the AB 361 language. We'll begin with that.
The city has returned to hybrid public meetings pursuant to AB 361, which allows for a deviation from the teleconference rules required by the Ralph M. Brown Act. Residents now have the option to attend the meeting in person or to participate remotely. To participate remotely, residents can live stream the meeting at www.prcity.com/YouTube and call 805-865-7276 to provide public comment via phone. The phone line will open just prior to the start of the meeting and remain open throughout the meeting to ensure the opportunity to comment on each item heard by the council. Written public comments can be submitted via email to cityclerk@prcity.com prior to 12 noon on the day of the council meeting, to be posted as an addendum to the agenda. If submitting written comments in advance of the meeting, please note the agenda item by number or name.
Well, thank you, Melissa. We'll go ahead and begin and call the meeting to order. If we'd all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilman Strong, and then stand for the invocation for Pat Strahan.
With me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, may your kingdom come and may your will be done here in Paso Robles this evening as it is in heaven. We thank you for our elected leaders, Mayor Hammond, Councilpersons Gregory, Bosch, and Strong, and soon-to-be Councilperson Roden. Bless them, Lord. Fill them with the spirit of wisdom and revelation for every decision before them tonight. And Father, bless and be with our police and emergency services who, personnel who bravely serve and protect us all. May your grace be upon our city staff to give them all they need to manage and care for the many needs of our city. Lord, we thank you for your great love and many blessings poured out on Paso Robles. We ask all of this in the precious name of your Son, the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Pat. Madam Clerk, we have the roll call, please.
Councilmember Bausch.
Here.
Councilmember Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Strong.
Here.
Mayor Hammond.
Here. And next we'll have staff introductions. Starting on my right.
Melissa Boyer, City Clerk, joined by Shauna Howenstein, Civic Engagement Coordinator, and Karen Jackson, IT Technician.
Warren Frace, Community Development Director.
Didas Esperanza, Capital Projects Engineer.
Angelica Fortin, Community Services Director.
Mark Scandals, Airport Manager.
Priya Burman, Public Works Director.
Ryan Cornell, Administrative Services Director. Christopher Love, Facilities Director. Randy Harris, Deputy Fire Chief. Juan Consuela, Fire Chief. Robert Colombo, Fire Department. Jeff Connor, Fire Department. Stan Atkins, Fire Department. Pete North.
Ty Lewis, City Manager.
Elizabeth Hull, City Attorney.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And welcome all staff for attending tonight. First off, we have discussion. Item 1, District 1 vacancy, deliberation, and appointment. So I think our attorney, Elizabeth Hull, will have our item, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As you are all probably aware, on September 7th, Mr. Hammond was appointed as to the office of the mayor following the passing of Mayor Martin. That immediately created vacancy in the District 1 seat. On September 7th, again, the council directed staff to open an application period to fill that District 1 seat. On September 26th, the council interviewed 8 candidates to fill the District 1 seat. And following the interviews, the council deliberated and determined to consider the appointment of Sharon Roden at the October 3rd City Council meeting. So you are here this evening to consider that appointment.
Okay. First, then we'll go to council. Any questions of Elizabeth? Elizabeth, just to be clear, the appointment is for 14 months, and then the person would have to re-up again?
That's correct. So the appointment would be to the next general municipal election, which is on November 24. I think it's November 7th, but I may be wrong. 2024. And then at that time, there'll be an election for the seat. The appointee can run if they so choose or not. It's up to them.
Okay. And at that point, that person running for that seat would be running not for 4 years, but for 2 years,
2
correct?
years. It's called a short term.
Right.
And they would fill out the remainder of the District 1 term from 2024 until 2026. Because we're district elections, we're staggered, so
Right.
certain seats are up every 2 years, so they have a 4-year term, and this seat would be up in 2026.
Good. Understood. Okay. Steve? You have a question?
Do we need to go ahead and make a motion on
Well, we're going to
I
talk.
think we need to see if there's any
Yeah,
public comment
we're going
first.
to do that first. So any more from council? Okay. So we'll go ahead and put it out to the public. Anybody wishing to have public comment on this item? Sure. Linda?
Good evening. It's been a long time. 3126 Spring Street. My name is
Linda,
Linda
can we get
George.
your full name for the record?
Yeah. Linda George, 3126 Spring Street. As you know, I was also a candidate, and I appreciate you guys even considering me. Frankly, it was a pipe dream when I first applied, but it was an interesting process. And I am not the only candidate that was a little disturbed about the fact that throughout the interviews, you revealed that Ms. Roden is your neighbor. In a time where Gavin Newsom has just appointed a senator from Maryland, and at a time where A.G. Bonta tried to task his wife to handle the DOJ books, we pushed on a statewide level, and Mia Bonta decided not to. And I really wanted to start this off with saying there's a scripture that says to abstain from the appearances of evil. Although I don't dispute Ms. Roden being in the district seat, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that in the future, that if there are any decisions that are made, that we know that they're being done openly, publicly, discussion here in front of the public, that we all are aware of whatever decisions are being made. And again, I thank you for the time, for considering me. I think, Ms. Roden, I look forward to you working in District 1. I have spent 4 years living there, and lo and behold, I'll have a wish list. But I hope that as the council continues on, that everything is looked at, knowing that some of the candidates left a little uneasy, and some constituents are a little uneasy. So I apologize. I was corrected today that you guys have never met, and that is okay, but it should have been clarified at the interviews, because that was not an election, that's a job interview, and could put you up for possible discrimination charges and things like that for nepotism. You could hem-haw, but this is a government agency.
Public comment. Yeah.
It's a government agency. We are all government here, and I worked for the government for 30 years. So I'm just cautioning to do the best you can to keep everything transparent. That's it.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Linda. Anyone else? Ms. Steele.
Hi, I'm Linda Becker, and I was proud and privileged to sit through the interviews. I thought the interviews were conducted very objectively. As a nurse epidemiologist, I took extensive notes as each candidate was interviewed. And I think it was a difficult decision. There were many good points presented by the candidates, but I feel that Sharon is really the best choice, and I look forward to what she can accomplish for our community. And I hope that all the candidates will continue to contribute to our community. There were many good ideas that were shared. And thank you for making it an open public process where we could sit there in the room, observe how you tried to be very fair and objective. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Becker. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close the public comment, bring it back for discussion and/or action by the council?
I'm ready to go.
Councilman Gregory?
I'd like to recommend that we approve Resolution 23XXX, appointing Sharon L. Roden to the City Council.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Gregory and second by Bausch. Any discussion? Call for the question, Melissa.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
So Sharon, if you would join our city clerk up front, please, to be sworn in.
Do you give me a microphone?
I'm going to give you a microphone. It's not your turn yet, though. So just for everyone in the room who may not have an understanding of the significance of the oath, I'm going to share a little bit of information along with Sharon, who has never taken the oath of office before. So just so you all know, state law does require that all public officials, whether elected or appointed, to take the oath of office. It's an affirmation that's taken before assuming the duties and exercising the powers of an office. Every new council member, commissioner, committee member, and employee in the city of Paso Robles takes the same oath of office. Oaths of office appear to have started over 2,500 years ago in classical Greece, and they have been required in most societies since then. Thus, every time someone new takes the oath, they are becoming part of an unbroken line that first formed some 25 centuries ago. The oath is our solemn pledge, holding ourselves to a higher standard. It is also a symbol that we accept the trust that we ask the public to place in us to serve them well. With that, Sharon, I'm going to ask you to repeat after me, raising your right hand, using either the term swear or affirm at 2 different points in the oath, and filling in your name instead of mine. I, Melissa Boyer,
I, Sharon Roden,
do solemnly swear that I will
do solemnly swear that I will
support and defend the Constitution of the United States
support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance
That I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely
That I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
and
that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I am about to enter.
upon the office that I am about to enter.
I do further swear
That in all matters concerning the city, I shall strive to promote
the common good, to uphold the public trust without fear or favor of any person, and to leave the city greater and better than it was when entrusted to me. Congratulations.
Is this where I get to talk?
Yes, you can.
Ty told me I had 20 minutes. He does not know what he has gotten himself into. Listen, I am blessed. I am blessed to have the most perfect wife that's kind and generous and thoughtful and prettier than my best hunting dog. It's no wonder I've kept her for 25 years. And I am blessed to have a family and friends who inspire me to step forward, but are always there to catch me if I falter. And I am honored to serve with this council. They're a great bunch of people, and I have so much respect for them. And whether we cross swords in battle or raise glass in victory, I know we all have a common goal, which is to make this town better. And I also want to thank staff in advance for their patience. I know that there's going to be challenges on both sides, but we'll all be inspired to find solutions to make Paso Robles safer and more prosperous. So I've never really been a wordsmith, but it's really not about words, it's about action. So let's get to work, shall we?
Well done. All right, moving on, we have two proclamations that we're going to get into. And I'd like to invite our Paso Robles Councilwoman, Maria Garcia, no stranger to this council. Come on up and receive these, please. Yes, you do. The first one is back up. Do this one backwards. Proclamation is declaring September 15th through October 15th Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas National Hispanic Heritage Month has been celebrated in the United States annually since 1988, when President Reagan expanded it to a week-long celebration to an established month-long 30-day period, starting September 15th, ending October 15th. Whereas September 15th is significant because it is the anniversary of the independence for Latin American countries of Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, followed by Mexico on September 16th, and Chile on September 18th. And whereas this year's theme, Todos Somos Uno, highlights the wide range of cultures, ethnicities, and perspectives in the Hispanic community and the power of the community's diversity. Whereas the city of Paso Robles recognizes the Hispanic heritage of an American heritage, and that this is a time to celebrate and honor the culture and heritage of those whose ancestors were indigenous to North America, as well as those who came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, Central America, and South America. And whereas Hispanic residents represent 37% of the population and significant contribute to the fabric of Paso Robles in a vibrant and prosperous community for all. Whereas Hispanic Heritage Month is a time to recognize the invaluable and countless ways Hispanic residents contribute to our common goals and to make El Paso de Robles a better place to live and work and play. And therefore, I, John Hammond, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor and speaking on behalf of the entire council, do hereby proclaim the 30-day period starting September 15th and ending October 15th as Hispanic Heritage Month, and recommend that all citizens of the city of Paso Robles continue to recognize the importance of this month. Congratulations, Mayor.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I was on city council, and I learned so much, actually, from the city, from the staff, and I was just telling Sharon that they are the best. The staff was so nice to me. I was very open with them, and I said, I'm a visual learner, so if you wanted me to absorb anything, you need to show it to me. And they did. Every department took their time and taught me everything I needed to know about this city, and they were amazing. And I just want to say thank you to the city of Paso de Robles. I am a Hispanic, Mexican-American person, and I have been working really hard to create a bridge for this community. I co-founded a nonprofit organization called the Hispanic Business Association, and I'm working to help the economic. I've been doing it all voluntarily, and so I just believe that much in our community, just like our city believes on our economic strive. For us to work together, for us to build our economy together. That's what I do in my heart every day to try to build everything. The city, everybody here is amazing, and that's why I do it. But I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate this. Thank you so much.
And because you're here, we'll give you the opportunity to receive the other one too. We have a proclamation today for Dating and Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 2023. Whereas Dating and Domestic Violence Awareness Month calls attention to the fact that intimate partner violence is widespread and impacts every person at Paso Robles. And whereas Lumina Alliance provide essential life-saving services for survivors, their children, and families throughout San Luis Obispo County, including Paso Robles. And whereas domestic violence is a pattern of control in an intimate relationship where one person uses coercion, violence to gain power and control over his or her partner. And whereas domestic violence can result in physical injury, psychological trauma, even death. The devastating consequences of domestic violence can cross generations and can last a lifetime. Whereas the marginalization of certain groups in society, including undocumented individuals, transgender individuals, and those living with disabilities, increases the vulnerability of intimate partner violence. Whereas Lumina Alliance continues to provide a safe environment for those affected by domestic violence, with crisis intervention, counseling, education, legal services, and emergency safe housing, with help of dedicated volunteers and professionals. Whereas Lumina Alliance has received over 2,000 calls of crisis and intervention, provided over 6,000 collective nights of shelter to their clients, and provide more than 4,800 hours of therapy. Whereas the Paso Robles supports the efforts of Lumina Alliance, how every segment of society can work together to better address the intimate partner violence and how to stop this and continue to serve their survivors with services. Now, therefore, it be resolved that I, John Hammond, in virtue of authority vested in me as mayor, and speaking on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim month of October 23 as National Dating and Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And again, accepting on behalf of Lumina. Thank you very much, Maria.
Thank you. So when I got off City Council, my phone started ringing, and a lot of groups contacted me and asked me if I would like to sit on certain boards. So I have chosen to sit on the Twin Cities Governing Board, and I have also chosen to sit on the Lumina Alliance Board, and I also serve on the Slow Nor Board. So that is my life right now that I stopped. I'm still, plus I work full-time, yes. So in honor of the Domestic Violence Awareness Month, Lumina Alliance has planned several events. They just wanted me to bring these up, including throughout the month, including the Celebrate Community Festival and Walk for Survivors on Saturday, October 28th. It's going to be at Mission Plaza, downtown San Luis Obispo. This is a family-friendly event, brings together supporters throughout the county to walk in celebration of our vision to create a safe, thriving, and equitable community. You can visit celebratecommunityslow.org to register for this event. They will also have a booth at the October 19th Farmers Market if you have any questions. Lumina Alliance will also be hosting 2 sessions of a Window Between Worlds, a transformative healing arts program facilitated by Lumina Alliance staff. Finally, tune into KCBX this month to hear stories from local Spanish-speaking survivors that their experiences with violence and seeking help in our community. Also visit luminaalliance.org to learn more about events coming soon. Please remember to pass on that we do advocate and all calls and help is confidential. Thank you so much.
Okay, moving on with item 3, capital improvements project update. Frida Berman.
Good evening, Council.
David?
Yes, sir. David Licaro, Public Works Operations Manager. We're going to do a combined presentation with Frida Berman. I will ask for questions before I hand it over, if that's okay with you folks. I'm going to try to be brief. I've got 3 different projects I wanted to share with you folks tonight and the rest of the folks in the audience and online. Well, that's a laser. That's not going to work. Let's try that. So in early January and March, staff was alerted to, well, we had many storms, significant storms, and we were alerted to a sinkhole that occurred in the backyard of 715 Boland Drive. This sinkhole was actually a result of, you see a very old corrugated metal pipe here. You see the bottom is rusted out. Now this pipe was actually installed in the Boland neighborhood in 1952. So it's got some age on it. But we had, over years of water, it's eroded away. And as a result, with the significant rains that we received, it sucked in all of the sediment through the bottom of that pipe and exited. So as you can see here on the picture on the right, we had quite a huge sinkhole that was about, gosh, as deep as 11 feet or so. And it occurred in this backyard here. So as we went out, we tried to go find the best solution for this. And we found what is called a CIPP. It's called Cure in Place Pipe. Essentially, it's an epoxy that cures while it's in the pipe. If you think about an inverted sock, as you're kind of putting your socks on and you're inverting them with your foot, try to think about pushing air through it to actually flip this textile that has epoxy on it on the inside of the pipe. So let's see if we can get into a little bit of how, let's see if I can get this to go. So you can see the video on the very right is this liner, and they're putting air into the liner so it basically pushes it through. So this technology has been used here in Paso Robles, not at this size, for sanitary sewer. But this time we figured we'd use this in a bigger context. So this is a 36-inch pipe. It went about 550 feet approximately. So this air pushed this liner through, and you can see the picture on the left. Here is the access point. Okay, now we actually get into the blue liner, which is the actual epoxy. This was actually kind of exciting to see, but it was a lot of activity on Boland that morning. So the picture in the middle is actually the backyard of 715 Boland. You can see the liner actually flattened. And what they end up doing is then pumping that liner with steam at 7 psi. Then it blows it up like a balloon inside the pipe, and it cures for about 2 hours. So this process is quick. Mobilization takes a little longer, but it's a quick process. And then the last picture there, you see one of the staff there from Sancon Construction that is waiting to tie off the end of that pipe. So again, this cured in 2 hours. We had a hard pipe, and I forgot to bring the example, but feel free to come by my office. I'll show you. This thing is super hard. It's got a lifespan of 50 years, so we're really happy with the product. And so was the resident at 715 Bolin. You can see that the sinkhole was filled in with 2 slack slurry, try to say that fast 3 times, and then 24 inches of topsoil on top of that so he can get grass to grow in the backyard again. You can see that the access point here, the picture on the left with the red circle shows that the access point was also filled in. And then the picture over there on the far right is a liner. So once it's puffed up and cures, they go back in the pipe and they cut out all of the access points, all the drainage so that flow can go again. So this was just such a cool project and wanted to make sure that I shared that with you folks tonight.
Great, thank you, David.
Moving on here, some of you folks have probably noticed that we've had some flashing red lights along Niblick Corridor. We have Bear Electric Solutions on contract to upgrade all of our signals at 8 different intersections. That starts from Spring Street all the way down to Crescent Road. So as you can see in the picture on the left, we have the back plates that are now highlighted with the yellow reflective border. And you can see the older ones. This is actually kind of a cool picture because it shows the older, more faded signals. We also increase the LED lights from an 8-inch to a 12-inch, so it's higher visibility, as well as updating some of the crosswalk indicators for safety. This was actually here at Rambouillet, right next to the high school. So as you can imagine, traffic was interesting. And folks that were driving on Spring Street this morning and this afternoon probably experienced a little bit of interestingness going through that intersection. So here's a couple more pictures of that intersection and the installation. They should be wrapping up this week with the hardware. Next step is to install the controllers. Once the controllers and the software gets in there, we're going to start to do the synchronization and calibration throughout the corridor. This is for the purposes of making sure that we can reduce some of the congestion going through that corridor and increase pedestrian and traffic safety through there. Okay. And lastly, this is a fun one. September 23rd, not too long ago, a few weeks back, we hosted the 2023 Creeks to Coast Cleanup Day. We've been doing this for over a decade. And this is such a great event to get the community involved. We get a lot of school clubs, we get a lot of civic clubs, leadership clubs, a lot of families coming out to enjoy the day. We collect trash throughout the day, commune with the other residents and other community members, and then we wrap up with a pizza party around noon. And this was such a successful day. You see we've got gators running trash bags and all sorts of fun things back and forth. We co-participated, or I should say, we had Earthshine on site, who's a local, if you know Earthshine, it's a local contractor that basically does a lot of trash cleanup. And he does everything all over the county, but he lives here, so we're lucky to have him. We had about 58 participants this year, and again, ranging from different shapes and sizes. The weight this year was 0.62 tons. Which surprisingly was a little lower, but I have to attribute that to all of the monthly cleanups that we do along Riverwalk Trail. So that really is a good deal. Unique things, everything under the sun. We find all sorts of funny things. We found a nail gun, which was interesting. We also found, I think years past, we found a gigantic teddy bear, which was wild. But what I wanted to, again, advertise, we always do this at the latter half of September. So if any folks are interested, bring your kids, bring your family out. We do a pizza party at the end. And this was a great event for the community. So if you have any questions, I'm glad to answer those before I hand it over to Frida Berman.
Questions for Mr. Carroll?
So on the great presentation, thanks. How much excavation or cost do you estimate was saved by using the epoxy, inflatable epoxy liner? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's very cool. And, I think we chose this mainly because it's non-intrusive. This pipe runs along 9 different backyards. So avoid having to go and dig up everybody's backyard and going through their private properties and really disturbing and kind of stringing along a project. I think we did save a lot of money on being able to put that pipe in there discreetly through one access point. It's pretty incredible. I don't know the dollar amount, but certainly that was the win right there.
Thanks.
I have a question, David. Are we changing the diameter of our streetlights to a bigger size now,
Yes,
from
sir.
8-inch to something bigger?
That's correct, yeah, 8-inch to 12-inch LED lights, yeah.
Yeah, and I noticed a yellow perimeter around every sign now. Is that the state standard that we're seeing that? Not just
We're bringing it up. You're probably seeing it in other towns too as well. We're just trying to bring everything up to code. These are old back plates. You can see in the other picture it was faded.
Right.
So this brings greater visibility.
And the other thing you're doing is synchronization. You want to explain that? You're like from, I guess, from Nibbit Bridge eastbound, you're going to be able to hit these if you stay at a constant speed.
That's correct. And so it's a matter of really bringing these controllers so that each intersection is timed correctly, so that as certain times, peak times during that, whether it's midday or early morning through that corridor, the timings will change and it'll work consistently with all the other intersections. So yeah, we can get free-flowing traffic through peak times on Niblick.
Perfect. Okay. Any questions from the public, real quick?
While we have Dave here, while you're synchronizing, I'm having a hard time adjusting to 25 miles an hour on Spring Street, so maybe 30 miles an hour for synchronization would be good. But don't tell Chief Nord I said that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you,
very
David.
much. I'll hand it over to Frida.
Yeah, Frida.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, Frida Berman, Public Works Director. I'm going to start with the project that we've been talking about way too long, which is the construction of Fire Station 3. We are now projecting October this month, probably at the end of the month, completion of the project. I had a long conversation with our contractor, Newton Construction, late this afternoon. We are still waiting for the automatic transfer switch, which is the permanent power source for the building. We can't energize the building without it. It's not scheduled to ship until October 17th. We've already had 2 delays though, so no guarantees there with a 2 to 4 week ship time. So in the meantime, we've come up, our electrical engineer, our architect has come up with a alternate and temporary solution to use a junction box and enclosure to power the building. That enclosure may, and I'm underlying may, arrive next week. If it does, crews will be back on site to finish the work and do all the testing and balancing of the building so the fire department can finally move in. So we're hoping the end of October. I'm keeping my fingers crossed on that one. Next up is Barney Schwartz Park Pump Track. As you'll remember, this is a $500,000 project, more than $500,000 project funded by the Rec Foundation. We have broken ground, which is the good news. A pump track, to remind everyone, is an asphalt track where through connected rollers and bank turns, you ride without pedaling. We are constructing an upper beginner track and a lower intermediate track with 2 staging areas that each would have a shade structure. It's designed for the entire family. This is not a competition track, but something that is a good fit with the other amenities at Barney Schwartz Park. The shade structure between the Veterans and Senior Center is still going through the contract process. I have nothing else to report on that except that we did receive some more documents today, and hopefully we'll be starting on that project this month as well. And in design, progress on the pickleball court complex construction. These are 7 new pickleball courts, new restroom, and a picnic area with shade in Sherwood Park across from the dog park a little bit to the west of that. The 90% plans were returned by the building department to the architect. They are working on the corrections so they can submit the 100% plans. We had a meeting last week to review them, and we're moving forward with that. And finally, the new corporation yard and utilities building is moving forward. As a reminder, this houses the utility department, fleet maintenance, facility maintenance, and landscape maintenance. It's located just adjacent to the new Fire Station 3 on Ardmore, and the architect is preparing the entitlements package that will be presented to Planning Commission. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very good, Frida. Any questions for Frida Berman? Okay. Any public have any questions on the? Good. All right. Thank you very much. We'll move on then to general public comment. This is the time that public may address council on items within the council's purview and not scheduled on the agenda tonight. All persons desiring to speak on the agenda, please ask to be filling out a speaker card, and you'll have 3 minutes when you get up. Come on up. Linda?
All right. I sent an email. I don't know if you guys received it. I sent it to Melissa right now, and you guys can look at it later. At the bottom of it is a wish list for North County. Now, in 2000, okay, it's written that you should not muzzle an ox while it treads out to the grain, and the laborer is worthy of his wages. In 2019, AB 5 outlawed independent contracting because of misclassification of domestic workers, farm workers, and gig workers. So currently it is illegal to be an independent contractor in California. And I mentioned in my interview, I'm a heavy labor person. I've been fighting AB 5 for 4 years and the PRO Act, et cetera. And it's no secret that agriculture business owners and orchards and all that fun stuff I've learned about, well, they take the lion's share of California's water, and they primarily hire farm workers. The reason why I'm concerned about this is because I live in the 50% of farm worker of District 1. And I fear to tell you that probably about a year or two from now, it might be 60% Hispanic and Venezuelan, because our borders are busting with Venezuelans coming to the country. San Diego is overwhelmed. Mayor Todd Gloria has asked for emergency assistance to help with everybody that's getting bused from Texas. So I say all that to say this, is that I have a wish list because farm workers are the hardest working people in California. And as a disability adjudicator, we had claims where these workers would work seasonal or they would work yearly. In North County, sheds go up for workers so they can live in it. And I want to thank Chief Harris and the fire marshal for always responding to my request to look at the property that I live on so that they ensure that there are not people living in sheds. I am frustrated because I know that farm workers do not make a living wage. Fast food workers industry just struck a deal with Newsom, and they're going to get paid $20 an hour. So what I say to this is that we have to find a way to support the farm workers, give them employee housing, clean housing. In the pictures, you will see that I contend with cockroaches for 4 years. Garbage overflowing, and that's all over that part of North County. So I'm hoping that as you guys redevelop, that you consider the upgrading some of the properties that we live on. In my wish list, you'll see some of the things I've asked for. And even though it seemed like I was throwing shade at the beginning of this, Paso Robles, like I said, I love it as much as I love California. And I hope that as we redevelop and grow up, that we get to grow up with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the public general comment?
I do have 2 callers online.
Do we have anyone online? No?
First one is Faith Andrus.
Faith, can you hear us?
Hi.
Hi, go ahead.
How are you all doing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I am here representing the Hemp Clinic Group. Richard Kamalai Figueroa, the founder and chairman, CEO, has been working with the state, with Governor Newsom and Secretary Ralph Diaz of the California Youth Authority to do a quit claim deed on 4545 Airport Road in Paso Robles to be able to help the homeless as well as children and families and provide jobs for them. I come in as one who brings the garden. So we're looking to create wellness products for the VA to be able to take them out and deliver them to people in the street to have a safe haven for them. So each of the locations that we're constructing, Paso Robles is one of them, 800 veterans, 250 children and their families. The buildings we're looking at, they have asbestos, so I'm working on finding the most cost-effective way to get the asbestos abated. Right now, online it says that it's $75 million is what they're assuming it. I found someone who could do it for $20 million. So I'm doing my research and I'm doing my work, but he is still interested. We have all of the contracts, we have all the licensing, we have everything we need to create the hemp, CBD, food gardens and make it into a business that feeds back into Paso Robles, as well as helps provide sustainable options to get people off the streets who really need homes.
Okay.
The website is hempclinicgroup.org, and I am somebody who specializes in healing and working with the land and working with the people. So we have a whole team of doctors, dentists, therapists, as well as rehabilitation options for those who come in because they'll need that. And then there's already a school there. We have school teachers ready to go. Being that he's a 4-time mercenary, he's dotted his I's and crossed his T's. He has all the things necessary to move this forward. He is asking for a $20 million grant from Governor Newsom, and he wanted me to bring this forward to council today. Do you have any questions?
Any questions, Chris Bowser?
Hi, thank you for sending your letter. You're aware that that property has already been sold and is being developed by another entity.
I was told that there was that they were closing it out and that they decided not to move forward with that. No, I did not realize that.
Okay. Sounds like we might need to do a little more research on both ends, but
if you contact staff, we can get you the latest of what's going on out there.
Great, because we've been doing this for 5 years. He's been pushing it for 5 years.
Okay. Thank you for comment, though.
Next caller
Thank
is
you.
Jan Albin.
Jan, can you hear us? Jan?
Hello.
Welcome.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, great. Thank you. Good evening, Council. Yes, I am Jan Albin, and I'm a resident of the Coil Run Senior Community. I scanned the warrant register on the consent calendar for every city council meeting agenda, every one. And the parking consultant, Dixon Resources, in the amount of $4,165 a month is still on there, as it has been for the last 5 years. Mayor Hammond, more than a year ago, you asked the city manager to renegotiate that contract with Dixon and to get it to half of that amount. Excuse me, yes. Because you said, as you said then, her services were no longer needed full-time. At some point between when you asked for that to be renegotiated and now, it seems that should have happened, but it has not. As deep in debt as this program continues to be, Dixon continues to feed off the Paso Robles parking trough, and we would like to know why. When you asked for something different to happen, why wasn't action taken on that? If there was a contract in place, there should have been adequate time to address that. And to be very honest, because we see no adjustment to that payment, the public wonders if there is something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. I understand there's a parking program discussion scheduled for October, but rather than have this one issue lumped into that report, where it's surely going to get lost, I would ask you tonight, Mr. Mayor, where do we stand with that $4,100 that we continue to pay to Dixon? I would hope that you have the answer, as it was your request to the city manager. I thank you, and the listening public thanks you.
Thank you, Jan. Chief, would you like to go ahead and address that right now? Go ahead.
We actually had a contract, so as soon as that contract was done, we have renegotiated it. I believe it was right at 4,100 before, is down to 2,800 now. So we are not using full services. We have cut it back based on what our needs are, because we do still have things that are needed to go over the data, give us data, and provide some of the things. But it has been renegotiated and is down to right at 2,800 right now.
So it's like a retainage for questions that need to be answered or questions to them occasionally or at times?
Yes, and again, our data, that all of our data that is gotten with our equipment, is they process that data and are able to do it obviously immediately if need be. And then they are there also if we, just like with our recent ad hoc committee, we asked them some questions and they were able to get us information. So it has been renegotiated for what we need today.
So how long has it been in this newer negotiated amount?
We just received the first new billing statement just came in, so it just started.
Got it. Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief. Anyone else on the?
No,
Dale
sir.
Augustin.
Dale, stand by.
Oh.
No, sir. No other callers on the line.
Okay.
Okay. Dale Augustin, since the parking issue has been raised, I'd like this council to reaffirm that there'll be no enforcement of the paid parking on Pioneer Day. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from anyone online or anyone in the public? Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment. Chief, go ahead and answer some questions, if you would, City Manager Lewis.
We voiced that last year, and we're here to reaffirm it again, that we understand council and community direction on that. And as we did last time, we tried to make it right by people, and we're going to do that again this year and ensure that there's no enforcement on Pioneer Day.
Very good. That's what we thought. Okay. Having that, we'll go ahead and close public comment, and we'll move on to item I, agenda items to be deferred. City Manager Lewis, do we have any of those?
Not, sir.
All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and then get into consent calendar. These are items that are not normally discussed unless someone on the council or in the public wishes to pull one for discussion. Anyone on the council at this point have anything to do with Chris Bausch? Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull J8.
8.
Not to the end of this meeting. I just want to ask Ditas to come to the podium.
Okay, so
when it's the right time.
We'll go ahead and run that at the end. Dale, you have something?
Yes, Dale Augustin, 630 13th Street. I feel that 10 and 11 should be pulled. Those are items I don't believe should be on the consent calendar.
Okay, so you want to have those heard also as a regular discussion. Okay. All right, so we have items 8, 10, and 11 that are pulled, and we'll hear those immediately after this vote taken for consent. Any other discussion? Anyone from the public having any discussion on items on consent? Bring it back to council and/or action.
Yep. Mayor, I'd move that we approve 1 through 7 and 9 on the consent agenda.
Second.
So we have a motion by Gregory, second by Bausch. Any discussion? Okay, we'll call for the question, Melissa.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Councilmember Roden?
Aye.
And Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. So we'll go ahead and then hear item 8, and that is going to be then with Ditas. This is going to be the approval award of construction contract for granite construction on Creston Road Corridor Improvements Phase 1 from South River to Orchard Drive. Ditas?
Yes, Mayor. I'm just here to answer Councilman Bausch's question, or did you want me to make a presentation?
I was uncomfortable leaving this item on consent. And there are people, I think that's roads is the #1 concern that comes up time and time again when we're talking to Paso Robles. I didn't want this to go unnoticed. I know there's still a few steps. So I just want to say thank you very much for your hard work in getting this to this stage. I know there's still more, and just give you an opportunity to share with the public. Creston Road is so beat up and it just needs so much work. If you could just share with us some of the steps here.
Some of the highlights. Okay, so we started the Creston Corridor envisioning to the community about 2 or 3 years ago through a sustainable grant. And so the city council adopted the final design for Creston Road, envisioned and as supported by the community through various workshops from South River to Niblick. We started to apply for a grant to the California Transportation Commission. We did that twice, and unfortunately, even though we were really close, we were unsuccessful in getting that grant. And so we needed to cut down the project, so we're still able to do the project. And since we didn't have the extra funding for it, the city council said, well, let's see what we can do. Let's do it in phases. So we presented a proposal from South River to Orchard. The city council said, yes, go for it. And we prepared a design to perform that work. We completed the design. And we went out to bid about a few months ago. Unfortunately, because of the busyness of the contractors and inflation, et cetera, we had 0 bids, which was unfortunate. In the meantime, we needed to award the project fairly quickly because we did, even though we didn't have the ATP grant, which would have been the $11 million grant, we did acquire a $600,000 grant, but there was a timeline to that. So we submitted a time extension to the California Transportation to allow us to still keep that grant. But on the other hand, we pursued re-advertising, and upon conferring with the contractors and why they did not submit a bid, I was told that they were too busy, they had too much backlog, but if we re-advertise later this year and award later this year, that we would probably be in a better position to do that. So we followed their direction, we restructured the bid documents, and we re-advertised, and guess what? We received 4 bids, as shown on your staff report, and the 4 bids, however, was a little bit more than we had budgeted for, again, because of the construction climate and the cost of doing business in the construction world. But thankfully, 3 or 4 years ago, we were doing gangbusters on all our river road projects, and we had a lot of budget savings on the Dry Creek Road, Country Club, West Side, to the tune of about almost $3 million of savings from previous projects. So Ryan Cornell was able to supplement the Creston Road project phase 1 with an additional $2.4 million, which is allowing us to be able to award the contract to Granite Construction based on their low responsive bid if the city council decides that that would be a good way to go. So in the meantime, we are able to award the project. We've kept intact the $600,000 grant, and if we approve that tonight, we can issue a notice to proceed and begin work early 2024.
Great, thank you very much. I appreciate thinking outside the box and getting this done. Look forward to hearing your future progress reports. Thank you very much.
Any other questions from council? Okay, thank you. Does anyone from the public ask a question on this? Dale?
Dale Guston, I thought I had commented on this before, that somehow it doesn't make sense to go from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, back to 4 lanes, and then 2 lanes at 13th Street. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll bring it back to council. Let's go ahead and just take this vote right now, then on 8.
Motion to approve J8.
Second. Okay, we have one by motion by Bausch and second by Strong. Call for the question then.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Roden?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Moving on then to item 10, which was also approval of an update of the city's ISA certified arborist list. Darren Nash, you have, or?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Item number 10 is a request for the council to approve 4 certified arborists to add to the city's certified arborist list. We bring arborists and put it on the consent. This is just a process so we can verify with the folks that are applying that they are ISA certified. We can check background, make sure they have all the qualifications so we can include them on the list. Staff has done that, and tonight's request is to add 4 certified arborists to our arborist list. Be happy to answer any questions.
Good. Thank you, Darren. Any questions for Darren?
No.
All right, anybody from the public? Dale?
I'd like the names of those arborists.
Do we have that, Darren?
Yeah, in the staff report, they're listed. I think they're also on the agenda. David Magny, Sam Oakley, Morgan Scoville, and Dan Pontney.
Very good. Thank you. All right. Anyone else, public question? Bring it back to council and discussion and or action.
Motion to approve J10.
Second. Okay. Motion by Bausch, second by Strong. Any discussion? Call for the question, Melissa.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Roden?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes
Thank you.
unanimously.
Item 11, approval of the quarter 2307 P230034, request to remove a 40-inch blue oak tree, 1517 Olive Street. I guess, Darren, you'll have that report.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is a request by Mr. Angel Cabrera, the owner of 1517 Olive Street. He has a request for the removal of a 40-inch blue oak. If looking at the photos, you'll see that his house was built under this tree many years ago, probably when the tree was quite small. Over the years, the tree is looming over the house. There's been past failures that have actually hit his house and damaged the roof. The request at this time is removal. We've had an arborist look at, or he has had an arborist look at the situation and has done this ISA certified risk assessment questionnaire for this tree and scored in a manner that the arborist indicated the best thing to do would be to remove the tree. The arborist indicated that more than likely additional branches could fall, hitting the house or hitting surrounding utilities or other homes around it. So the request tonight is to remove the tree and require the planting of 1 blue oak tree on site, or the option of an in lieu fee to the city's Parks Department for planting of the tree in a public space. That I'll be happy to answer any questions. I believe Mr. Cabrera is here, as well as a representative for the arborist.
Very good. Any questions of staff? Okay. Any questions from the public or the applicant like to address at all? Okay. All right, we'll bring it back then to council for end or discussion or action.
I move we approve item number 11.
Right. Second. So motion by Gregory and second by Strong. Any discussion on this? All right, go ahead and call for the vote on that, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Roden?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous.
Very good. That concludes the consent calendar with items up for discussion further. Report on the items approved on consent tonight. Ty Lewis, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our first 4 items are approval of September City Council meeting minutes, September 5th, September 7th, and September 26th, with item number 4 reporting on library board for 6/15 and 8/10, as well as planning commission for 8/8 and 8/22/2023. Item number 5 is our regular recurring item, reaffirmation of Resolution 23018, which approves remote and hybrid remote meetings per Assembly Bill 361. Item number 6 is the receipt of the warrant register. Item number 7 is the authorization of a change order to J.J. Fisher Construction for right-way improvements, which is out near the airport. Item number 8 we talked about. Item number 9 is the approval of an award of a contract to AAAA Engineering Contracting, Inc. for a drainage improvement project for Public Works. Item number 10 we talked about, as well as item number 11, and that concludes report on the consent calendar.
Thank you, Tom. Moving on then to discussion items. Item 1 is the fourth quarter report for El Camino Homeless Organization, ECHO. And Helga, do you have the report?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Tonight, I have ECHO Paso Robles with us to provide their fourth quarter report under the MOU that the City Council approved on August 16th, 2022. Under this MOU, ECHO will receive a total of $444,000 in funding over a 2-year period payable in quarterly increments annually. As part of the agreement, ECHO has come before you at the end of each quarter to share financial reports, provide key data related to their operations, and to maintain services outlined in the MOU. At the July 18th City Council meeting, the ECHO Ad Hoc Committee was temporarily reconvened to discuss ECHO's change in service model, which reduced the number of nightly emergency beds as the number of beds available for the 90-day program was increased. The committee did meet in August and is actually scheduled to meet again next Tuesday before we bring the results of that discussion to you. So tonight, staff's recommendation is that you receive and file ECHO's fourth quarter report and direct staff to disperse funds in the amount of $55,500. I'm happy to answer questions, and if you don't have any questions, I do have ECHO's Director of Operations and Development, Austin Solheim, here to provide ECHO's fourth quarter report.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Angelica first?
All right.
Why don't we go ahead and have Austin then come on up. And Wendy.
So I'm going to turn it over to Austin shortly because he has a great report, but I can't go on with the report until I tell everybody thank you for coming out to the ribbon cutting today out of the Home Key site. It was a huge milestone. I appreciate all the city staff did, all of the council did, and the community, the volunteers, the donors. It just was really an incredible opportunity. But there was someone there in spirit and legacy, but there was someone missing, and I want to publicly thank Mayor Martin for everything he did. I truly believe that project would not have come to fruition without the Steve and Steve, and they just really were pivotal in some conversations that turned doors the right way and opened the right doors. So I just want to publicly put out there that his legacy lives on in the work that we're doing, and just really grateful for everything the city has done to support the project.
And Wendy, could you maybe for the public's benefit, maybe give a short synopsis of what Home Key is really about and how you integrate with them?
Absolutely. So Home Key is a project that was state funded. It was a result of COVID funding, which it's something positive came out of COVID. It's the first homeless services or comprehensive services in this community. And it started about 3 years ago with a call from the county. And the county said, we're hearing their state funding for what would be, we thought was just shelter at that time. And of course, we had in our strategic plan to potentially bring resources to Paso in our 10-year vision, and this was in year 2. So we said, of course, we'll hear. And the conversation first time I drove through what was former Motel 6, I went, this is too big for ECHO, right? It's 122 rooms. Our organization needs partners or this isn't going to happen. So we were grateful to have partners come on board that were key, People Self-Help Housing and the Housing Authority of SLO County. We all worked together to get our boards on board with a very quick turnaround, 2 weeks to create the application, submit it to the state, and to get 3 boards that didn't even know of a project 2 weeks before to say yes and take the leap of faith. Our portion, it was even a larger leap of faith because it only came with 2 years of state funding for operations. But we knew that the community and all of the entities, the county, the city would come together, and that is happening, and we're grateful for that. So the project opened in late 2019, and part of the state funding required it to have 50% occupancy within the first 90 days. ECHO itself had a goal, because it's easier to get people into the shelter portion, which is ours, and not the permanent supportive housing, which is Haslo. And we actually exceeded that goal. The need was so critical. We filled our 50 beds within 2 weeks, and we're providing not only that safety of the bed, but comprehensive supportive services. So the project has always, this entire time, been under construction, and today's celebration was to celebrate that everything, the permanent supportive houses are now going to be occupied with 60 individuals, long-term permanent supportive housing, and then ECHO's portion, which has been running the entire time, with the 50 beds that we're providing all the services we'll talk about tonight. So did I miss anything, or did
I think you did a great job, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But again, we're just grateful for this partnership and the community coming together, and it's incredible to feel that feeling today, and that Mayor Martin was there. You could just feel the spirit and his legacy.
Thank you for
Thank you so much. I'll turn it over to Austin.
Thank you, Wendy. Welcome, Austin.
Thank you very much. Austin Solheim with El Camino Homeless Organization, Director of Operations and Development. First and foremost, thank you so much for the opportunity to not just come and give this report, but the opportunity to share with the community the amount of impact and incredible impact that ECHO has been able to have through the past year. This is our 4th quarter report, so it's amazing to look back on some of these slides as we go through and show the impact from the 1st quarter to see what we are doing now with the support of not only the council, but the support of the community of Paso Robles as well. So as Wendy mentioned, we, ECHO is a nonprofit 501c3. When we really talk about the direct client aid and direct client services that we have, we really talk about kind of our budget and direct impact that we have. And so when we talk about our total budget that comes to you, 71% of that total budget and different pieces go directly to client services, and that is not including building and maintenance costs and then admin costs that are included in there. One of the reasons that we are able to maintain that breakdown specifically is the amount of volunteers that we have from the community. In our last year, we were able to report that we had over 1,500 individual volunteers. That's unique individuals from the community that were able to come and spend time with us and volunteer that time. This year, that number is going to be higher than 1,800, which is incredible through the partnerships that we've been able to make with our local community here in Paso Robles, with the amazing men and women of different church groups, different clubs, different Rotary, all of those pieces coming together to support ECHO in different ways. With the funding that we have from the city of Paso Robles, 100% of that funding ECHO receives, it goes directly towards supporting the staffing of our Paso Robles campus specifically. This funding is instrumental in providing the services that help those facing homelessness transform their lives and get back into housing. The funded by the city of Paso Robles covers 25% of the staffing costs that are associated directly and specifically with that Paso Robles campus. In our quarterly shelter program data, as you can see through these different pieces, the numbers speak for themselves. So through June and July and August, you can see that our quarterly totals of total nightly shelter stays continue to increase. One of the numbers that I always like to point out is that unduplicated nightly shelter stays. That is how many people in this quarter actively were affected. So as you can see, the quarter is 76 in June, 94 in July, and 91 in August. And we come to that number of 118 because that is the unduplicated number through those 3 months together. So that is how many individuals were directly impacted and stayed in our program, whether the 90-day or the night-by-night shelter program at ECHO. In the numbers, you can see that we've maintained that number of 90-day emergency shelter beds, as well as that 5 additional night-by-night emergency shelter beds that we have to offer. One of the questions that we were asked to provide in the last city council meeting was to collect data on the percentage of client serves that have stayed in encampments specific to the riverbed. So when we looked through this data and we started collecting and asking this question of the residents that we were serving through this past quarter, what we found is that 51.4% of those that we were serving at Echo Paso Robles were utilizing our services and had stayed in an encampment in the Salinas riverbed. This is a truly important slide that I really wanted to share with all of you today that speaks to the impact that I spoke of from quarter 1 all the way through quarter 4. If you look at the first chart, you can see that the number of people housed has continued to grow, and our quarterly total this year is 28. If you look at the slide below, you can see what our impact was in quarter 1. You can see that that number was 8, it grew to 10, it grew to 20, and this quarter I am proud to present that that number is 28, with 66 individuals, men, women, and children that have been impacted through the funding that Paso Robles has continued to support ECHO with. The numbers that I want to share with you beyond this too is that ECHO has been able to help year to date 135 men, women, and children. Now, I've heard that a Paso Robles, Atascadero High football game is something to keep the score on and keep your eye on, but I am proud to share today that those numbers from Atascadero have matched Paso Robles and in fact surpassed Paso Robles in the number. Paso Robles has housed more men, women, and children this year than our Echo Atascadero campus. We still have 3 months to go in this incredible year, but 135 men, women, and children, and 68 have come from the Paso Robles campus specifically this year alone. Additional programs and services that we continue to be able to offer are items like our outreach program that goes out into the community and connects with individuals. We are also being able to bring TEMA on site, wellness programs on site, doctor visits on site, and many, many different programs that benefit our community. One of the things that we're incredibly proud of to share this year is our collaboration with the Paso Robles Unified School District and the County of Education from SLO County. Through the collaboration with these two districts, we were able to provide backpacks and school supplies to over 35 school-aged children this year. And one of the things that is truly incredible in the 3 years that we have come to Paso Robles, we actually now have a certified bus stop on Black Oak Drive as well for the families that are experiencing homelessness and staying with us at Echo Paso Robles. Additional program referral data that we're asked to present, one of the things that is key is just our dinner numbers and our shower numbers that we're able to provide. Currently, right now, we're averaging about 15 showers a day and close to 125 meals a day when we include our no-cook food bags and the meals to our residents that are staying in our programs. It's truly incredible just the impact that we're able to offer, not just those that are staying with us, but the additional services that we're able to offer to community members throughout that may be suffering from food insecurity and housing insecurity and aren't ready to take that step, but still have access to the programs, to the case management, and to services that we offer on site. We are continuing to do additional services such as free phone service, on-site mental health, haircuts, substance abuse, education, doctor evaluations, arts and crafts, story and game times with kids, including a new playground that was thankfully built by the Paso Robles Rotary Club and the Interact Club from Paso Robles High. We're continuing to work with CalFresh and the Assistance Department, Social Services, as well as Clean Slate programs and all sorts of different pieces to come in. A few of the programs that we truly wanted to highlight this year are some of the nutrition and education classes that we've been able to do with the SLO Food Bank, a SLO Symphony instrument petting zoo that was brought on site for the kids that were staying with us currently, and then the continued of just the support that we see from the Paso Robles Unified School District and the County of Education. One of the things that we're very proud of is ECHO's neighborhood collaboration. ECHO's Good Neighbor program has been full in effect with residents of our 90-day program working with staff weekly to clean up trash in the Black Oak neighborhood. We have even recently adopted that street and that corridor and are now working with the Paso Robles Interact Club on service projects to continue the effort to clean up that corridor. We also held our third neighborhood stakeholders meeting on Thursday, July 27th, and we had representation from City Council, police, and local business. We continue to collaborate and support our partners from the neighborhood and find mutual solutions to any issues that may arise. We do operate a 24-hour hotline, but our team has gone out, engaged with local businesses, and we currently are not getting any calls on that hotline from local business owners surrounding Echo Paso Robles. A few of the success stories that I wanted to share with you today, just from recently from our program, this is an individual whose name is Colin. Colin came to Echo, and when he came to Echo, he was suffering from a couple of medical issues that unfortunately led him not being able to work and not being able to pay his rent and be able to maintain housing. Through working with Echo, finding the 90-day program and working with his case management, Colin was able to make the medical appointments that he needed and be able to get back on that stable ground and foundation. Once he was able to make those steps and take those steps, he actually started working for the Mid-State Fair when it came around this past July. He started as an interim employee, as most people do. When he started working and continuing to show up, they offered him a full-time position, and he still today works for the Mid-State Fair right down the street and continues to work on his housing case plan through Echo, working and taking the steps to get back into stable housing in our community. The second story that I wanted to share with you today is Marcella and Noah. Marcella and Noah are still today some of our favorite Echo clients, as Marcella is our #1 Echo volunteer currently. Marcella and Noah came to us as a family facing homelessness in our community. They had nowhere to turn and really were referred to Echo by other services in our community. They were sleeping in their car. They started signing up for the 90-day program and instantly became a part of our community and involving themselves in as many programs as possible. Constantly greeting staff with smile, always leaving the campus better than they found it. And even today, Marcella and Noah continue to run programs on a weekly basis and run our shower monitor program, greeting everyone with that same smile. Because it's one thing when someone with a name badge says, hey, you can do this. When someone that's gone through the program and taken the steps to get back into housing says, hey, I'm glad you're here and I know that you can do this, it makes waves and it's incredibly important to the foundation of who we are at Echo. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have at this time.
Well, thank you for your report, Noah. And any questions for Austin on this one? Councilman Bausch.
Austin, when we were down at your event today for the Home Key opening, thank you very much for making that happen. One of the comments that struck me was one person shared how many of the unhoused that are currently living in the riverbed come from Paso Robles. We've heard numbers, various numbers. I've heard various numbers over the years. And one thing that struck me was that the number is fairly consistent, whether it's Paso Robles or San Luis or Tascadero, et cetera. But approximately 70 to 75% of each town's homeless population comes from that same town. So do you see that happening? Do you have a way to track that number?
So not only is that a statewide figure that, it is. So there was actually a national study done on homelessness, one of the biggest that's been done in the past 20 years, that confirmed that number on a statewide and individual city basis. But Echo was asked that question several times when we came to Paso Robles. Right. And so again, doing our own internal research, what we found is that 85% of the individuals we serve at our Paso Robles campus are from the community of Paso Robles. 85%.
So does that mean that for someone that applies to Home Key, and I'm not quite sure I fully understand how that process works, but for someone that applies to Home Key, if they're a Paso Roblan, would they get priority?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, so absolutely correct. That was part of us working collaboratively on that process. And it's actually in one of our agreements that part of the pointing system, if you're from Paso Robles, you get additional points, which gives you definitely a bigger opportunity for those services. And we were able to work with the coordinated entry system. It's how housing placements happen throughout the county to really lobby and make sure that this next wave that just happened, everything that you guys were out there to celebrate, that our clients and North County clients are prioritized. So that pointing system helped them make those placements. So it's a significant number of the ones that opened up will be ECHO clients and Paso Robles.
Thank you. Thanks for all you do.
Councilman Gregory?
Yeah, Wendy, quick question for you. So the statistic is 51% of the people you're serving have been in encampments in the Salinas, and then 85% of the people are from Paso Robles. And I want to know, where did you find 1,800 volunteers? You may not want to share that.
Well, if you ever have visited ECHO or any of both of our locations, you can feel just the I want to be part of this, right? You're greeted with a smile no matter who you are. If you're someone we're serving, and if you're a high official, or if you're someone who's just coming and wanting to know more, you're treated the same. You're treated with respect. We show appreciation to our volunteers. We praise them. They're part of what we do. We could not do our programs without that volunteer corps. And I love that you see the numbers growing, right? And so I would encourage people, if you want to learn more, if you want to get involved, just volunteer for 1 hour. Come to a dinner, sign up, serve a meal for 1 hour. It will give you a fresh perspective, and you will hear the most thank yous in that hour that you've ever heard. People are grateful for the opportunity, for even that basic and that ability for us to build trust. When Austin did his report and you saw the 8 permanently housed in that Q1, and then Q4, it was 26. The why behind that is not only are our services growing and getting better, right? Have been there longer, we're getting more stability. The most important factor is we're building that trust with the people that need those services. You know, we were new to this community, and can we trust those people that say they're going to help me, when often that person's journey has had people saying, I'm going to help you, and not happening. So that trust is happening. The outreach, our case manager that goes throughout the community, breaking down those barriers and meeting someone on city halls. As I was coming in, I heard a wonderful story from one of our emergency services partners that they called our outreach team, and they were able to help with a situation that our fire department was dealing with, not only helping them, but helping that person. And he even shared, it was how they approached the conversation and bringing that true, we care, we want to help, we're here for you.
Thank you.
I would also just like to share on that too, that the volunteers find us. I have never been in a community so amazing that comes together with such an amazing population of our community that comes and supports not only the events, but the volunteer opportunities. Every single thing that you can ask for, if we put out a request, I have 25 volunteers the next day that are willing to jump and say, how can I help? And that speaks to both the amazing individuals that we have in Paso Robles and on the Central Coast.
Thank you, Austin, for that observation. Again, Paso Robles has always been that way. If there's a need, you'll see people come up and help. And that's what I've had so many comments about, too, in the last 3 years. And when we started this in 2020, people are a little concerned about using taxpayer money to support something like this. And again, everyone that I've ever talked to is so appreciative that we're using their funds in this manner. I mean, it really is important that I think all Roblins know that they're helping ECHO in some way, some manner. All right. Anything, Sharon? Brett? Okay.
The only thing I'd say is it's a wonderful program. If you can keep it going, let's keep it going as long as we possibly can and have the problem. But I just have seen nobody doing more to solve the problem. And we're doing right here at Paso Robles. Greatly with your help. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll echo that again. Our motto's been, we want to give people a hand up, not a handout so much. And you guys are definitely fulfilling that promise. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming tonight. All right. We'll move on then to item 2, oak tree preservation. Oops. Oh, Dale, you had a question or you want to make a comment? I'm sorry.
I'd love to make a comment. Dale Gustin. I agree with all of you about the volunteers in Paso Robles, but also this report, I helped start the United Way in this county. And one of the things we had to do was to examine the services of anybody applying for monies from United Way, as ECHO did with you people. And I got to say, I'm impressed with their report. They are definitely showing how the monies you've given to them is being beneficial to this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. This is receive and file of the report. There's no action for us to take tonight on this one. So we'll go ahead and move on to item 2 unless anybody has any. No, just a matter of receive and file. We don't need an action. Angelica?
Typically, you receive and file and then direct us to disperse the funds. I think that's been a motion in the past.
Is there a motion? All right.
Motion to disperse $55,500 to ECHO for L1.
Yeah, second. Quarterly report. Okay. So motion by Bausch, second by Strong. Any discussion? Okay. Call for the question on that.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Roden?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes
Very good.
unanimously.
Now we move on to item 2, oak tree preservation ordinance. We have a oak tree to be talked about on 1234 Olive Street. And Darren Nash, you'll have the report again.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this is a situation where we are working on a building permit at this address at 1234 Olive Street. With a remodel of the home, there is an oak tree in the front yard. So this is the home here. Here's the, this is the tree here. Just verifying this is the correct, is this the correct? Okay. Didn't want to confuse it with the last item we had on consent. So 1234 Olive, here is the tree in the front yard. This is the home. And there's an addition off the front for front porch on that project. This is a valley oak tree located at where the front porch is and in the vicinity of where a remodel is being constructed. So back in January, remodel permit was issued. The oak tree was not identified on the site plan. So the plans that were provided to the city for the remodel work didn't indicate that there was a oak tree in the front yard of this property. So it went through building plan check. A permit was issued by the city to do work. And then in May, it was indicated that there was an oak tree in the front yard that there was some conflict with, and then at that point, staff worked with the owner's representatives in terms of their draftsmen, and there was an arborist an arborist was involved at that time. So the city notified, the construction work was approved and required substantial roots and trunk conflict in order to do the remodel. The applicant's goal was to revise their plans so that they could move forward with the project rather than at that time coming forward with an oak removal. They were involved in the project. Folks were on site working and they requested with the arborist that the project be worked on except for this area where they could work with the arborist and see what the options were for working around the tree. So there was the project, first thing that was worked on was to remove the porch portion of the project, which was going to extend out towards the tree. So working with the drafts people, letting them know that we had an issue with the oak tree. Their solution at the time was to not move forward with the porch until there was a resolution with the tree. Building and planning staff conducted a site visit and conducted construction impacts the tree had undergone. There was significant cutting of the roots in order to do a footing on that house. So in July, the building department posted a stop work order for the work that was being done in the front yard associated with that tree at the corner of the house. So the arborist provided information to the city that the oak removal request was being submitted based on the tree's declining health. So see if we have some photos here of the tree. So you can see the new work being done. The picture on the left is of the tree, and you can kind of see that the leaves are browning. The picture on the right shows the tree at the existing house. So what's not shown here and what was removed from the work is a proposed porch that would then come approximately 12 more feet out into that front yard. So the plans for this remodel included a footing at this corner of the home. And if you look up at the screen, you can see the forms being placed to pour this footing. You can see some of the major roots that were cut in order to provide this footing. Since the plans weren't shown, the tree wasn't shown on the plans, since the city and the applicant's team were working to resolve the matter or work with the arborist to determine the best result for the remodel and the tree, work was done, roots were impacted that were not under the direction of the arborist and that were not in a manner that was approved by city permit. So unfortunately, there was a violation here, and the work that was done was not done with the approval of the city or at the direction of the arborist. So what we were here tonight to, as a result of the work that was done, the trees that were impacted, the arborist requested or recommended the client move forward with a request to remove the tree. So this is a request for an oak tree removal to remove the tree since it's gone under major decline as a result of the roots that were cut with the work being done, and plant replacement trees. So what's before you tonight, and I'll get to the options. So the option before you tonight is to allow the removal of the valley oak tree. The applicant has worked with staff and has requested that rather than, as this option 1 reads, of planting 2 trees on site, the homeowner would like to plant 3 trees on site, which would then reduce the amount of that violation fee. So what we're requesting is that we go forward tonight with, let's get my notes here, with the request to remove the tree. The tree is in decline. It is a process where we bring trees to the council to request removal, so we're still requesting that. But in addition to the standard 1 or 2 tree mitigation trees is a violation fee as well. So option 1 at the request of the homeowner was to be able to plant 3 trees on site. That would be a $600 mitigation value and pay the violation fee of $800. So that would go from $1,000 to $800 by planting another mitigation tree on site. So that is the request this evening. I know I've kind of gone back and forth. It's a little different than what we're used to with the violation and with going through a project, getting construction going, and then determining there's an oak. So we had to backtrack a little bit, work with the applicant and their team to come to an option where it's being processed per the code by allowing removal, but also a violation fee. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Very good, Darren. Questions of Darren? Start with Councilman Bausch and go this way.
Thank you. I'm not quite sure how to state this, but when I read that it was, I'm going to say only $1,000, I was shocked. I don't know when that amount was set. I think it was some time ago. If my memory serves me correctly, I don't remember the exact year. But as a sidebar to this proceeding, it really should be reevaluated, and I would encourage staff to go back and look at that. This is going to set a precedent, and the next home owner that wants to take out an oak tree and not bother to do things the right way, the next architect that forgets to put it on the plan, it's going to tell the homeowner, hey, it's only $1,000, big deal. It is a big deal. It's an oak tree. So there is no question that the oak tree now has to come out. They killed it. So it's got to come out. I don't see the oak tree recovering. So we have to figure out, okay, tree comes out, they go forward with their plans. We have a $1,400 mitigation, but they probably would have paid part of that anyway. It just seems like an awfully minuscule amount compared to staff's time. Does that cover staff's time to go back and forth on this, or does the applicant have to pay extra for that?
With the permits that are in place and with the addendums and things, staff time's covered also under those permits.
Okay.
This up above, probably not, but there's other permits involved with this particular.
That's my comment.
Councilman Gregor.
Yeah, Darren, when they collect these fines, where do those fines go to, the Oak Tree Fund, or?
Correct. We'll take the violation fee and put it into that in lieu fee OAK program that goes to the Parks Department, and then they take, when there's a public project that it makes sense to plant oaks in, that's where they get the funds from to plant those trees.
Basically goes into our inventory, correct?
Yeah.
That we can use.
So my other question is, do they have to all be blue oaks? Can they be live oaks, or does the applicant have that option?
The ones on site are valley oaks. So these are the request to plant 3 valley oaks, and this is what the owner and the arborist came up with.
In that area, there's a lot of live oaks also, which I think are a better choice, but that's just my opinion. So that's all my questions. Thanks.
Very good. Councilman Strong.
Yes, I have a question. Put that plot plan up again. I think that we have to be reasonable and rational in our decision making. So no, plot plan. Show the lot. That's the one. What's the size of that lot? It looks like it's about 50 feet by what?
70.
75?
Typically, the west side lots are 50 by 140.
50 by 140. And what's the size of this house? How many square feet?
Sounds like 1,800.
1,800? Well, that's a pretty good sized house, but I don't see any side yard to speak of at all because there's no room for one. And obviously, you couldn't put 7 trees on that lot if you didn't have the buildings there at all, without them intruding on each other. So being reasonable, if you're going to have this as a city lot with a house on it, and the amenities that a house needs, like a garage for parking, I guess, and any kind of a yard at all, I think it's very unfortunate they didn't show the oak tree in the first place. But I don't know how you would do any construction to build a house of anywhere near that size without impacting any oak tree that was on that property. And if that's the case, I could see the in lieu fees, but I'm wondering if the penalties aren't just because somebody was just careless in how they drew the original plan.
Yeah, obviously knowing this up front, we would have gone a little bit different route in the design of the additions, and having more monitoring during construction, making sure the arborist was more involved in this particular situation. But understand what you're saying. It's definitely a challenge on a 50-foot wide lot to build when you have an oak tree in the front yard. So it happens all the time. There's lots of oaks on the west side, and that's the reason why we want to plant them back on the lots, is to keep an inventory coming up of young trees as well.
Well, that's why I don't think that this would be a precedent, because it's just an unusual small lot for a house this size. And probably if they wanted a house that size, they should have had a bigger lot in the first place. But if we approved that size house and we knew the size of the lot, I'm not sure the fault is 100% theirs. So I don't know. why we're asking for more trees than you could possibly put on the property. If they even did the mitigation without any structures on it. I just want to be reasonable.
Councilman?
I go at this at a little bit different angle. When we talked about the approval of the removal of the 40-inch blue oak, it was given as an option, and perhaps the difference is they didn't ask for that. But instead of having to plant trees back on that property, they're to be planted in a city park or somewhere. Clearly, this lot is I agree with Mr. Strong that it's not really for a large oak. Now, it may take 100 years for it to get that big, I don't know, but instead of having them replant anything there, why not plant it in a public area just like we allowed the other? And again, I assume that the large fee is because it felt like, or it was, that someone tried to get away with doing something. Was it outside the plans that were approved?
So a few different comments there. The trees on site, there is an option of planting trees on site with an option of paying in lieu fees. So our staff worked with the homeowner and the arborist to come up with the two trees on site and then pay the rest of that fee into the city's replacement fund. The homeowner then requested staff to add an additional tree on site. So this homeowner must feel that there is enough room for 3 trees on this lot. And this is at the request of the homeowner. So we're just trying to work with the homeowner in this situation.
Is it, I'm sorry to interrupt, but is it because you lower the fine if they plant more trees on the lot?
Correct.
Okay.
So
if you planted them off-site, would you also reduce that fine?
Well, the homeowners don't supply trees for the city to plant. There is an in lieu fee per tree that goes into a fund, and then the Parks Department use those funds to plant trees. So if we go back to the calculation,
I think it was $200 in lieu fee.
Yeah, per tree.
Right. So
for the replacement tree on the other.
Yeah, so planting on site or paying in lieu fees, and this is a combination of both.
I'm sorry, I did interrupt you, and I think you were going to finish about whether the homeowner skirted some of the plans, or were they completely approved that damaged the tree?
Right, so initially the plans were submitted not showing that there was an oak tree in the front yard. So it went through process, setbacks were checked, the porch was looked at by the various departments, and a permit was issued. After the permit was issued, after construction started, it was determined, hey, there's an oak tree in the front yard, and then we had to work with them to try and work with them in a manner where we could keep their project going, get an arborist on board, and work together to resolve the situation, is then where the drafts people worked with plans, removed the porch so that they could continue with that project, but not go further into that tree. What wasn't acknowledged at that point, or what wasn't understood by city staff who was working with the arborist and trying to protect the tree, was the footing that was shown on the plans for that corner of the house for the remodel they were doing, still minus that porch going in the front yard, was so large. It was very large, and the workers on site then went in and cut the roots on the tree. The arborist was not on site to monitor, so there was work that was done to do a footing that impacted the tree. The arborist should have been involved and should have been on site monitoring during that, and that didn't happen.
I don't disagree with that, but the plans were approved for them to do that.
There was a plan approved that showed a footing. There was different plans. It was obvious that staff was taking the steps to protect the tree. Tree ended up not being protected and damaged. So yes, there was a footing on the plan that showed work done there, but it was very clear that staff was working with the owner, with the owner's draftsman, and notifying the arborist that, hey, we need to do something to work on protecting this tree. They even altered the plans to remove the porch, which staff then indicated that, okay, well, we're moving the porch, not going into the impact. However, there was a footing detail that was on the plans that were approved that showed damage to be done. So I think, as Councilman Bausch indicated, this fee that we're talking about is not a lot for the damage that was done, and ultimately requires the removal of the tree. We're just trying to get some mitigation for that work that was done. We're not here requesting that you not remove the tree. It is the council's option, but we're just trying to get some mitigation in relation to the damage was done.
So Aaron, Darren, I had a quick question. The owner is working with an arborist, and the arborist and the owner came up with 3 trees as a good way to go, right?
Correct.
So the arborist is giving that information. Good. Thank you.
Just a point of clarification. Had the oak tree been shown on the original plans, we would be having a completely different conversation. The porch would not have been approved at that location that was presented.
Well, there's different construction techniques that possibly could have allowed a porch but not have a footing, or some type of different modification. And that's what we try to work with arborists and with homeowners to try and, we try, you know, one of the things I like to do when people come up is, what do you want to build? And let's see what we can do to make, you know, build that. In this particular, we love to see front porches on these west side homes. So I'm sure there could have been something to be done if more attention should have been paid to the construction techniques.
And then just as a follow-up to that, would it be impractical to ask for a Google Earth photo to be included with the applicant's original request? And then how much time would it take for staff to verify that that's an accurate photo?
You know,
just
staff looks at these daily, and I think it's just, it was rare that one went through, and we're looking at plans. Porch sounds like a good idea. It meets the setbacks. Let's approve it and go to the next project. I think that generally we do like to look at Street View and Google Earth and all those things to see what's going on. This one got through.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Mr. Bausch, in response to your earlier question, so the tree ordinance does actually give you greater authority than the $1,000 that's been proposed. I think that's what staff has negotiated and discussed with the applicant, but the ordinance itself does exceed that. It's, if we were to pursue a civil violation, the maximum penalty would be $5,000. If we pursued a criminal violation, it's $1,000. So I wasn't involved in the discussions, but I think that staff came to what they felt was a sort of reasonable in the middle there.
And I think that's, I appreciate you bringing up that point, because I remember seeing higher penalties in the past.
There is the potential for higher penalties.
Thank you for that clarification.
Councilman Strong.
Yep, a follow-up question. Are these going to be oak trees they have to plant?
Yes.
If they're oak trees, and I like to look to the future, and I'm looking at that lot in which what they're going to be putting on there anyway. If you take 3 oak trees, 50 years from now, or 100 years from now especially, how are 3 oak trees all going to not be impacting each other or destroying some of those buildings anywhere you put them on that lot? It's so small. There's no room for a canopy.
Mr. Strong, are you an arborist?
Yeah, like I say, it goes back to the arborist.
We're using a professional arborist.
I'm not an arborist, but I've had enough oak trees on my properties that I know how much space they take up.
Yeah, again, we're going to let the professionals make that determination. So, any other questions of staff? All right. Would the applicant like to address the council at all? Welcome, ma'am.
Good evening, council members. I am Allison Denlinger. I am not living at that site. I am renting a house on between Chestnut and, no, 11th and Chestnut, yes. I am sorry about this, and I'm sorry we didn't catch that oak tree when we submitted the plans. And I'm sorry that they dug the footings, and they're huge footings. They're engineered just crazy. The house was built in 1955, and I'm remodeling it, but not changing the footprint at all. So that's always been there. I'm not sure about the 3 oak trees, but I don't know why one can't go in the front, and then there's 2 large places in the back where I was thinking I could put them. I actually haven't talked to the arborist about that, but that was my own feeling. Oh, by the way, before I go any further, what district am I in? Does anybody know? Am I in District 1? I'm between 12th and 13th on Olive Street.
Yeah, you're in District 1 then.
So I'm in Miss Roden's. Okay, fine, thank you. I just hope that you will approve this and we can move forward with the project. And we put a porch there because that house is facing due west, and it's fierce in the summertime. So I was trying to be, I guess, more environmentally considerate and putting a porch there so the house might not get so hot. And I believe that the $1,000 is for the 200 per tree that I will have to pay. Yeah. Any other questions?
No. Thank you for addressing council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment then?
Dale Augustin, 630 13th Street. Now you know why I asked that the one that was on the consent calendar be pulled. I think, what's the name of our city? We have an oak tree ordinance for a reason. We value the oak trees. And I'm sure that the owner of this property is really sorry about what happened. And you've got a problem to figure out how to solve it. But anytime an oak tree is removed or planned to be removed, it should be agendized, and we should have the full explanation of why, because I hate seeing any oak tree removed, even though it is necessitated by the condition of the tree sometimes, as well as the location of it. So good luck.
Thank you. Anyone else? Close the public comment, bring back to council.
Okay.
Darren, we have a question here, I do anyway, with regard to the resolution. There's been discussion of 3 oak trees, and then in the actual resolution, the way it's written up is there's 2 oak trees plus $1,000 fine. Does council have discretion then on what we want to do?
Yes, that's since the publication of the agenda was the request by the owner to plant 3 on site. So the option would be to approve the resolution to allow the removal of 1 valley oak tree and assess a violation fee, require the owner to plant 3 valley oak trees on site. That would then be a $600 mitigation value, and pay an in lieu violation fee of $800. Would be the way the option would read if that's the way council would like.
Clear by council then, what we got to do?
Yep.
Okay, any discussion then? Go ahead, Councilman Nelson.
I'm sorry, just so we're clear, was that Councilmember Gregory who made the motion as stated by?
No.
No motion.
No motion
No
yet.
motion
Just
yet.
discussion,
Okay.
still.
I'd like to make
Almost. I had to cut him off. Elizabeth, I'm still very concerned that someone is going to look at this, our actions tonight, and say, "Oh, well, that's not that bad. I can do that. I'll try to get one over on the city down the road." I don't want to see that happen. I'm in favor of moving forward tonight. I think what happened, I don't think it can be justified, but I think it's explained, and I think I can live with that. What I would not be able to live with is if this becomes common practice, whether that's once a year, once 5 years. Somebody said, well, they got away with it, I'm going to try. there are some property owners out there that will try. And let's just be honest, it's unfortunate, but that's like Mr. Guston said, we need, this is Paso Robles. Let's protect those oak trees. We have the latitude, getting to finally to my point and my question, we have the latitude then to adjust that fine. That might be something that council might want to sit down with staff and just figure out, make it as difficult as possible. I don't know the process for that, but you can perhaps walk us through that in the future.
Sure, so we can come back and talk about sort of the oak tree process in the future, if that's an agenda item that you're interested in. Currently, your ordinance that's on the books sets out a variety of different approaches that staff can take: pursue a civil violation, pursue a criminal violation. Right. There's a handful of options in here. I would defer to staff as to, sort of how they choose which path to go down on these issues and how they ended up at this solution for this one. I think that in light of the extenuating circumstances, the error that appears to have been made in the original submission, the willingness of the property owner to come in and work with staff and try and get it corrected, I think all of those probably played into the decision-making here.
Okay, I'll get together with Darren and I'll get up to better speed. I thought it was up to speed, but it sounds like I need some remedial work myself.
Okay.
Ready to go?
Any other discussion? Councilman Gregory, go ahead.
So I'm going to make some comments first.
Okay.
I think the situation is that you have an owner that's really caring about her oak trees, and was something happened, it happened. She's worked with the staff, and I think she's worked out with a good solution. I like what staff is doing. I like that she's here apologizing for what happened. So she's got some sincerity. Staff's done a good job. And I would make a motion that we approve Resolution 23XXX to allow the removal of one valley oak tree, assessing a violation fee, and plant 3 valley oak trees and pay an in lieu violation fee of $800.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Gregory and motion second by Roden. Any discussion on the motion?
I'm good.
Okay, call for the question then, Melissa.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Roden?
Aye.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 3, selection of Mayor Pro Tem and review of the update for City Council Member Liaison appointments. So, Ty, will you have that option for us here?
You bet, Mr. Mayor. So just a quick introduction as with the appointment of Ms. Roden to the council and completing the full contingent of council members up to 5. When this typically happens, we bring back all of the council assignments, bodies, commissions, liaisons, ad hoc committees for review to ensure that there's adequate representation and that the assignments are equitable based upon your discussion. Further, the second point of that is to appoint a mayor pro tem, which Mr. Hammond was prior to his ascension to mayor. So we have to be able to appoint a mayor pro tem as well. So there is an attachment that shows current assignments. And I know, this is public information. And so now we're recommending, based upon input from the mayor, the following assignments. Of course, they're subject to change based upon council discussion and final approval. With that, I'll turn it back to you, Mr. Hammond.
Very good. Thank you, Ty. So starting off with, do all of our members here on the council review the attachment 2? Okay. Sharon, you're probably the more I'm concerned about. Did you review everything that I kind of put you on?
I did. And I'm happy to serve in whatever capacity you feel like. However, I have had some firsthand experience with GSAs and with water issues, and if possible, I would like to participate in the Groundwater Sustainability Agency. And
Where's the other one? I'm looking for the Board of Supervisors. The integrated, is that it? Yeah, Integrated Water Management Authority.
Oh, integrated waste management?
No, water management.
Water management.
Oh, there it is. Okay, right. All right, so
does that?
that's a misprint.
Oh, it is?
That's supposed to be
Okay, so that's
integrated
not-
waste
That has, okay,
management.
Waste management.
all right. So
Yeah.
not that,
Yeah.
but the GSA.
Yeah, that's the garbage there. So,
So what about the groundwater sustainability? That's the one you've been on,
That's
John?
what I was talking
yeah,
about.
it sounds like you do have that. I had Chris Bausch, he's been coming as my alternate on that. But Chris, do you have a heartache to let Sharon take that?
I just want to know what Councilmember Roden's going to trade me for that. I'm not,
Here we go. All right, district fight against districts. Okay. I don't know. I think, again, I want to put something that you feel interested in, for sure. And I know you're, in the ag and definitely in the water too. So I know that, Chris, I still have you, I believe, on non-cemental water. Don't I have you there? I can't find that real quick.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to defer just for the good of the city. Councilmember Roden is far more knowledgeable about water issues. I'm still learning. That's why I requested to be on those. I think that is the most important topic that we're going to face in the years ahead. I want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to manage our water resource intelligently. I don't have any problem with moving to another committee, another liaison position, if Sharon is willing to bring her expertise to water, making sure that the city's needs are kept foremost.
Okay.
So I have another recommendation too. I think that, no offense, Mayor Hammond, but you have enough to do. I think that Mr. Bausch should be on the housing constraints if he wants to be back on that again.
Yeah, I can do that. I was going to, if Sharon wants to do the water, I can do housing and I can do Travel Paso. Does that make sense?
Okay. Roden was on as an alternate for Travel Paso. Sharon, you have any heartache to let Chris take that?
No, I'll deal with it.
Okay. Here we go. All right. So Bausch, then we'll throw you into Travel Paso. And then what was the other one you had there, Chris?
No, that's,
You mentioned two just now.
Yeah.
Steve.
Water.
No, I'm talking
have
about Chris
Mr.
just said
Bausch get on the housing constraints.
housing constraints. That was it. Right.
He was on there before.
Right. Yeah, I'd like to see that continue. He's got some experience there too.
They're doing a good job on that.
where did you say, Chris? Where was the one?
Travel Paso.
Travel Paso at the bottom of the first
Right.
page.
Very bottom. Yeah.
Oh, and housing constraints.
And then the other one is on the second page
Second page at the
under
bottom.
ad hoc committees towards the bottom.
Got it.
I'm going to take Mr. Gregory's
Hammond.
place.
Well, actually,
Mr. Hammond.
Oh,
yeah,
Mr.
take
Hammond's
mine
place.
off, and I'm going to put.
And put Steve as,
Yeah,
okay,
you've
I
been
got it.
on that all along, haven't you, Steve?
Yeah.
Pretty much. So Gregory and Bausch definitely on the
And it's,
housing
and
constraints.
it's
I got
not,
it.
yeah, it's both of us. It's two.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
This is a
Good.
little bit like Las Vegas. Just do a little swap there, a little swap there.
Again, and again, it's one of those things where if you're interested in something, come to them anyway. We just not, when we have more than two people on the council meeting, at a meeting like this, we're supposed to separate. But if you want to learn and hear more, come.
Good.
In my
Okay.
opinion, it's important that you
So-
understand.
Just to confirm, we're on the groundwater sustainability. That's going to be Roden?
Yes.
Okay.
As an
Hammond is the
alternate.
appointment and Roden is the alternate.
Okay,
And then Travel Paso is going to be Gregory as the appointee
And Bausch.
with Bausch
Yeah. Right.
as the alternate. And then on the housing constraints, we've got Gregory and Bausch.
Right, those are the changes.
any changes on the Nacimiento Water Project? What did you decide on that?
That is something that you were interested in. You've been coming. I'd like to
Yes.
keep you on that, get a little bit of water into you, I guess is what I'm saying. So if you don't mind, staying there.
Might upset my electrolyte balance, but that's fine.
Right. That's more pipeline stuff anyway, Sharon. It's moving water from Nasi to the different agencies that own the pipelines.
Yeah, it's still kind of pretty important.
Yeah? Oh, yeah.
So I'll want details about that, so.
And you, and Elizabeth can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can still come as an observer.
Yes.
You can't comment, at least that's my understanding of the Brown Act.
All right.
I mean, we can get Elizabeth to give you some instruction on that right now, but basically you can come to these meetings, just we can't talk. I mean, you can listen.
I can't talk?
Not with your colleague.
Okay. I got it.
Yeah, actually, Elizabeth, you want to state the rule on that kind of?
Sure. So we can't have three members of the council talking about an item that's within our subject matter jurisdiction outside of a public meeting. However, if this is a notice public meeting and two council members are there and you want to come, you can observe, but you can't engage. No speaking. Sorry. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you what it is.
Yeah. There's a lot that you got to understand that we have to go through. Yeah. Okay.
So one more question.
Sure, Steve.
Under slow cog, shouldn't that be strong and strong?
Strong is there, but you're his alternate in case he's gone.
So I've never done it before, but I'd be happy to do it, so.
We'll get together, I'll talk about it.
Okay.
All right.
So Nacimiento, we were leaving as Hammond and Bausch. That one's not changing.
I'm sorry?
The Nacimiento Water Project?
Yes, that's still Hammond and
Yes.
Bausch as we had it before. Yeah. Mhm. I don't think there's anything else I had. I kind of did this, but I wanted you guys to review and make comments. So
And we
everybody,
can make changes on this anytime, actually, technically, right? If it doesn't work out.
Yeah, if you're interested in making a modification, we can always bring it back for discussion.
Got it.
Okay. All right. Open up to public comment. Anybody have any questions on the council assignments, ad hocs, liaisons, commissions? All right, bring it back to council.
This is separate from airport.
Yes, let's just take this first and maybe vote on this, and we'll get into
I move approval of how we discussed to amend this.
Second.
Okay, motion by Strong, second by Gregory. And Melissa, go ahead, call the question.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Roden?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Motion passes
All
unanimously.
right, the second part of this is then to appoint Mayor Pro Tem. And what would be the term of this if we appoint at this point? Would it be for the 3.5 years then, or how would that work?
Depending.
I thought we did it
Because-
annually.
It's
Right,
depending on,
Because terms, people on and off,
Right.
until the end of its term.
Till the end of the term.
Good point.
yeah. That's okay. That's what we did before.
So, all right, anybody want to,
Just goes for a reassignment.
goes where?
Like when the time, 14 months is up,
Right,
if that person wants to continue or the
right.
council wants to.
I'll make a comment if I may, and that is, should be somebody who's well acquainted with everything. We used to rotate it a certain way, and I would be in front line. But everything else I do nationally, statewide, regionally, I really can't do it justice. So just as soon you pass me over,
Are you sure you're okay with that?
yes, I'm absolutely okay with that. Because I don't believe in taking on anything if I can't do it well.
All right.
And I'm afraid I could not do both well.
Then, Mr. Mayor, I would move Councilmember Steve Gregory as Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay.
I'd second.
Second by Sharon.
Thank you.
Any discussion on this? All right. Any public comment? Bring it back to council. Let's go ahead and make a motion and vote on.
Councilmember Bausch?
Aye.
Councilmember Roden?
Aye.
Councilmember Gregory?
Aye.
Councilmember Strong?
Aye.
Mayor Hammond?
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations. I'll be leaning on you a bunch. All right. Thank you, Steve. All right. So we're done with that. Moving on then to city manager report. Ty Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Last week was an extremely busy week and at times heartfelt and touching. We were super busy, obviously, with special council meetings as reflected. Not all of you get your own theme music, just so kind of derailed me there for a minute. So as I think the consent agenda reflected, we've been very busy with council meetings, special council meetings, getting up to speed, and we're super excited after last Tuesday's special council meeting to be able to welcome our newest council member, which was, as noted in the community, a great conversation. We followed that up the next day with Remembrance of Life services for our former mayor, Mr. Steve Martin, who passed away. We had dignitaries from up and down the state that were here, as well as local dignitaries from the community and the county. And all in all, it was a very special occasion that I received nothing but positive feedback from the community on. Last week, we also had many members of our local organization that were either promoted to new positions or recently hired. So we had an oath of office for those. I believe Mr. Strong attended that to represent the city council there. So there's been lots going on last week, but I think most eyes were focused within the organization on Mayor Steve Martin's remembrance of life, and that ends my report.
Very good. Thank you, Ty. Who would like to start off with? I usually go from left to right, but Sharon, you want to say anything? Because first couple hours on the council here, you haven't done anything.
Thrilling. No, I again want to say how much I respect this council, and I look forward to working with all of you and learning on the job. Experience is not new for me, but I'm very dedicated to this, and I appreciate staff's help with the time they spent with me so far, and I look forward to it in the future. Thank you all.
Well, thank you for willing to serve. Thank you.
Mr. Hammond, I did forget one glaring error, if I can jump back in. Sure. We do have a video. I think last council meeting, I erroneously referred to the streets video that would be coming out. And so we finally have that ready to release to the community. We're going to be sending out a press release tomorrow. And we thought we would preview that tonight for the council if you'll indulge me with a short video.
Would you like to run that? Okay.
Yes.
Throughout the city. They're used every day from emergency services, police and fire, public works, sanitation. Everything depends upon well-maintained roads. 2012 was when the E12 sales tax override was initiated by the voters in direct response to the poor conditions of the roads. The voters decided to put in a half-cent sales tax override, which is directed solely to roads. We have about $6 million a year in dedicated revenue that's solely spent on roads. And tourism pays for the majority of that through sales tax.
I live on Putter Avenue here in the Country Club States. The roads were falling apart. Me and my daughter loved to longboard, skateboard a lot. The roads were so coarse and you couldn't do anything like that. Now that the roads are repaired, people are a little more happy living here in this neighborhood.
When I go on the road with my friends or my parents now, it's not super bumpy anymore. There's no potholes anymore that you fall into, or you can just cruise.
The people I work with on the committee from the city
have been very professional in providing the necessary information to verify what they're doing as according to the goals. I can tell you that the money is being spent appropriately that aligns with the city goals and objectives.
Our city council, they do listen to the community. When the community sees their tax dollars getting used for what we voted for, it gives a good feeling.
The streets are very important to have as a beautification of your city.
Paso Robles has civic pride, and it's reflected in everything that we do. And I'm super excited about the prospects for the future.
Well done, Ty. Is that going to be on our website then for people to see, or how will they access that?
Yeah, we're going to distribute this far and wide. We think that, as Mr. Bausch highlighted earlier with his comments about the Creston Road project, and council's talked about on numerous occasions with respect to how we allocate money, how we choose roads that are going to be repaired. All of that is important information, and this video is really going to highlight and kind of kick off community conversations that we're planning regarding this important topic. I think that there's a lot of information, there's a lot of questions that's out there in the community, and we're hoping that this video will be, kind of a living evergreen video that shows how we do it. We thought it was important that the community hear from those people, not just from city staff. We're in here regularly talking about what's going on with public works projects, capital improvement projects, all of those. And as at least one of our callers highlighted this evening, there's not always the most trust in government these days and how we spend money and where we put it. In fact, the inference oftentimes is that the money goes elsewhere. So we decided that it was important to hear from our tax oversight committee that is the watchdogs appointed by the council to be able to make sure that that money is going where we're saying it's going. They also provide critical impact. So you heard from that. You heard from one of our residents that we thought it was great to bring that full circle. I think many of the community members remember Matilda from coming in here several years ago to be able to convince the council to advance a few dollars, several $1 million actually, to be able to address the roads in the country club and golf course area, which we did. And that's just, of course, just the start. There's a whole list of that streets that we're proud to invest that kind of money in. Those numbers have been growing as our sales tax revenue, but there's still a lot of work to be done in the community. The West Side roads are in horrible condition. As we mentioned several times, we have probably about $350 million worth of road repairs to do. And it doesn't take a lot of math to, $6 million a year. How long is it going to take us? And that doesn't even count what it takes to maintain those roads that we've just paved or that we've just repaired. So in addition to that, as we've talked about several times, there's still millions and millions of dollars on top of that in underground that goes below those on the west side. We have 100-year-old infrastructure down there for waters, sewers, and all of those kind of things aren't factored in necessarily to the costs of what it takes to repair a road. So we thought that this was a good way to highlight the good work that city staff are doing, highlight the support from the council to achieve these goals, and most importantly, to demonstrate to the community as best we can that these are a priority for us. They're going to be an upcoming discussion. As we know, E12 is getting ready to sunset, and council and the community is going to have to make a decision on how they want to address roads in the future. And so as part of this, I know it's not part of the discussion tonight, but we will bring it back to you at a future date, is how do we do that? How do we do better than what we've done in the past? Are there options to really accelerate some of these road repairs? And if so, how do we do it while also an eye to the future for maintaining the roads that we've been investing so heavily in? So I really have to thank all of our city staff, Frida on the public works side of things, of course, Christopher Eleckel, who was in that spot on an interim basis that did a lot, Ditas Esperanza. The list goes on for, on and on for all of those that contributed to this. And we thought this was a great way to be able to roll out this topic as we start scheduling some of these activities for discussion.
Very good. Any questions? Councilman
I
Bell?
do, thank you. Looking at that list that there's still a lot of work to be done, like you said. And some of those projects look massive compared to some of the smaller ones that the city has accomplished. At some point, would love to hear the strategy on getting those large projects done. But again, thanks to staff for getting all the stuff that has been accomplished. I think it's been an incredible, good use of the funds that have been raised. But it's just a never-ending project. So thanks to everybody who does something.
Very good. All right. We'll go ahead and continue then with council reports. Councilman Strong.
Okay, thank you very much. And as you all know, Sharon will be learning shortly, I represent us at the region and also at the state level with the League of Cities and at the national level with the National League of Cities. And I represent the region on board of directors of the Pacific Surfliner Railroad, and also at the state level where I'm immediate past chairman for all the regional governments of California, and sit on the national board of all the regions of the United States, representing NLC, all the cities of the United States. And that's my seat on that board currently. So I have all those meetings almost on a regular basis. So I meet with the Railroad Board of Directors almost monthly, as I did this last month. And we have had all the issues on the Pacific Surfliner of the bluffs going down in Southern California, blocking the tracks, having to reroute. The state is upset because we've gone over budget, but we've gone over budget because of all of that, and because we've had to hire buses to come in and take our people around that area, and we'd have to put different schedules on the trains in order to accommodate all this. So there's that problem. And then I've also participated in the others, and I'm going to some others soon. I'll be part about those next time. But this time we did have our annual conference of the League of California Cities, which now prefers to be called Cal Cities, but same thing. And oddly enough, it was I think the lightest meeting we've had in decades. I was on the resolutions committee. It's the first time we have no resolutions. So we got into the voting delegates position, and there was nothing to vote on. It was very interesting. With the sessions, because I've been sitting for almost 2 decades now on the committees for housing, community and economic development, as well as revenue and taxation, most of the sessions were on topics that I had already dealt with during the year. So I go to the city attorney's sessions because that's where I learn the most, find out what's happening in the courts that's going to affect us. So quickly, I'd like to report on that to you because some of these things are important. The courts in the last year have ruled, number one, that if you have a non-housing project that is going to be affecting housing in the area where it's being put, either on that site or immediately vicinity to it, you have to also consider the housing element in approving it. You cannot approve it without looking at the housing element to see that it's consistent there as well. It also looked at things having to do with cannabis. And there was a city who wanted to put very heavy restrictions on cannabis on the basis that, well, this is different than other retail. So therefore, we're going to treat it differently. The court said, absolutely not. That was Lucas versus the city of Pomona. They said the court found that that business is the same as retail because it involves retail sales, it involves manufacturing, it involves distribution, the same as almost every other commercial enterprise. So that said, nope, you can't treat them differently. You got to treat them the same as everybody else. And one that I found very interesting, but it's really of more concern to the legal profession, except it should be of some concern to us when we do our research. And that was a case that involved artificial intelligence. And they found out that artificial intelligence sometimes is so well constructed to try to do what we want it to do that it starts to concentrate on trying to please us rather than giving us the facts. So there was a case where the attorneys that were defending somebody went to artificial intelligence and had it prepare the case for them. They presented in court, and the judge went and looked over their case and found out that they had quoted 4 court decisions that didn't exist. That it had just made these up and put it into the report that were filed with the court. So they're saying really when you're using artificial intelligence to do your research, make sure you check it out with something else that's a more original source so that you don't have your artificial intelligence program trying to please you rather than really do the right thing, okay? And I'll keep my report brief with that as my closing comment.
And just so we're clear, that lawyer went back and asked the artificial intelligence if the case was real, and the AI doubled down and said yes. It did not acknowledge
really
that it
got
had made
themselves-
any cases.
I went to that conference meeting too. That was amazing. Those folks really made a major mistake. I hope they learn. Everybody learns from it. Councilman Belch.
Thank you. Just very briefly, met with a lot of Paso Robles, the Senior Housing Committee, Parks and Rec, Main Street Board meeting, went to Housing Authority. Housing Authority is doing really well. They have some great projects coming up. Hope to be able to bring some of those back soon. It'll do well for Paso Robles. Thanks to Main Street putting on Taste of Downtown, like Councilman Strong and the rest of us, went up to Cal Cities. Very enlightening. Too many breakout sessions to get to all of them, but just an amazing amount of knowledge, like a fountain, just flowing. Went to airport anniversary. Thank you very much to all the airport commissioners and all city staff, to all the vendors that showed up. It was a great event. Thanks to all the candidates who came out and applied, the applicants who applied for the District 1 vacancy. I think we were all pleasantly surprised how many good candidates we had come forth. So I think the same situation is happening at the Airport Commission as well. So thanks to everybody who's getting involved in Paso Robles. Attended Mayor Martin's celebration of life. Very touching, some great speakers, great comments. Thank you to getting that all put on and taken care of. Notice that the lights were going up in the city as we were sitting at Mayor Martin's celebration. Can't wait to see those turned on and lit up. So looking forward to that happening. Thank you.
Councilman Brick.
Yeah, I attended Mayor Martin's celebration as well, and it was really, really touching. A lot of dignitaries and a lot of famous musicians, by the way. But the highlight of the night, or that presentation to me, was having Jennifer Martin get up and actually speak on the mic. That hit us. That was amazing to see her do that. And if you know her, it's a stunning event. I'd also like to make a comment about our selection process of appointment. I think it was a very fair and open and concise process. It was not, as somebody's accused us of, pre-planned. I think the best person for the position was selected fairly, and we got it done in one night. So thank you, John, for getting through that. And Sharon, welcome. We're excited to work with you and be on our council with us to help us through all these times that we're going to be headed to. And let's see, I'm forgetting something, but
Home key.
Home key. Oh yeah. So home key today was pretty amazing. They had people from the state, and the best part of that process, one of the clients spoke about her life and how that changed her life, and it was really touching. It's probably one of the most touching speeches I've seen in a long time, from start to finish, how she got there and how she stepped up and stepped out. But the other thing that was interesting about that, I got to spend a lot of time with Ken from People's Self-Help Housing and with the other gentleman, Dan. We have a lot of opportunity to work with both of those agencies. They already helped us with the Home Key project, and they're a great source of funding and ideas. So as things come forward towards us, like mini homes or whatever, but I heard about a new one today. What was it called? From the staff person at the county, the little.
Yeah.
It's a new single unit process somebody came up with.
Like a mini home. Yeah.
And it's a little house and it's
Life Arc.
Life Arc. So we have to look into that because she was very, very happy with what she saw in that. And it was affordable and durable. So, and then I'd also like to thank our community for sending all of us to the event in Sacramento. Very, very rewarding. A lot of good contacts and information. And it's just good to get out and get up there together and work together. So thank you for that opportunity. And thank you for the vote tonight. So.
Can I say one other thing? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Just as a clarification, because Councilman Gregory brought it up with the selection process. I just want to make sure that we have our facts straight. He and I are not neighbors. We used to be neighbors 15 years ago. And the last time I saw Steve was probably 2 months ago at a tire store. And this was not even on the ideas or thought process at the time. I might run into him once a year, every now and then. We don't socialize. Maybe that'll change, but
I don't blame you. It's okay.
we won't. So I just wanted to make sure that it's factual.
I had never met you either myself. And I was kind of said that I was knew you or something like that. I'm not sure what language went out there, but basically, the first I was introduced to you was that night, basically.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay, I have my report then. Several weeks ago, we actually started with 3CE, the annual board meeting, 2 days of intensive meetings. Ty was in there with us, and quite an individual group because we have 3 counties, Santa Barbara, San Luis Obispo, and Monterey, and we have all the different public agencies that sit on that board. It was, we had it at the ballroom over here at the Paso Robles Inn, and the place was packed full of board members. I've never seen that many in one row before. So that was impressive. The next thing we did, of course, was the Cal Cities, League of Cities, and went to a lot of conference meetings with my colleagues, learned a lot of information, also went to the expo with a lot of different new things that are coming to cities for us to explore. Also like to thank our city attorney, Elizabeth Hall. PPK hosted us for an evening. Very nice, and it was very well appreciated. Next, I was at the APCD meeting in San Luis Obispo. Nothing really to report on that. Of course, we were all at the Mayor Martin Celebration of Life, and again, that was very impressive. I really want to appreciate and recognize the staff for putting on such a great program, and everybody that took part of that was amazing. It's very well done. I think the family was very pleased. That was good. Next, we had the 50th airport anniversary, 50th year birthday. I think it was the best dollar spent that Paso Robles ever did, buying that airport. Today we had the Haslow Home Key ribbon cutting today, and that was very well attended by a lot of dignitaries. And I think that's all I had at this point. Anybody else have anything? Chris, go ahead.
Thank you. I want to pass that down for me. As a near future agenda item, I'm requesting that council consider passing a resolution declaring that all businesses in the city as essential businesses in advance of any potential closures ordered by state, federal, county officials or agencies. I'm also requesting that a resolution be passed that any future mask mandates imposed by state, federal, county officials or agencies will not be imposed or enforced within the city of Paso Robles, and that masking will be considered a matter of personal preference within the city of Paso Robles. In anticipation of my esteemed colleagues approving my request, I'm sharing copies of a similar resolution that was recently passed by Coalinga City Council.
So at this point, you're asking the council if they'd like to have this as an agenda item?
Correct.
Staff to report out on something like this?
Yes.
Do we have consensus that we'd like to hear the item, discuss it? Yes. Steve, Chris, I wouldn't mind hearing it. Good. So do we have enough information then from this? We can go ahead, get it on the agenda to discuss. Take a peek at it.
Thank you.
You bet. All right. Upcoming events. Paso Robles Youth Commission Advisory Committee meeting October 4th at 5 o'clock. Paso Robles Night Out, which is tomorrow in the park, 4:30 to probably, 6:30, something, a couple hours. All right. We have police and fire and everybody else out there showing off their wares. And then we also have the city of facilities closed in observance for the Indigenous Peoples Columbus Day. That's going to be October 9th, this next Monday. We're going to be down. Paso Robles Senior Citizens Advisory Committee meeting on October 9th at 1:30. Paso Robles Development Review Committee, October 9th, 3:30. We have the Paso Robles Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee regular meeting October 9, 4 o'clock. Paso Robles Planning Commission meeting October 10th, 6:30 here in this room. Library Board of Trustees, October 12th, 9 o'clock in the morning. Again, the Paso Robles Development Review Committee, October 16th at 3:30. And Paso Robles City meeting, again, October 17th, which I am going to be actually gone. I'm going to be overseas. So I imagine we'll have Councilman Gregory, Mayor Pro Tem, handle that one. And I think that's all we have. I would like to also make an adjournment in honor of our new council member, Sharon Roden, if everybody has anything to do with that. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion then to adjourn in Sharon's name.
Okay.
So
sure.
moved.
So moved. Second.
Second strong, and first by whoever said first. Gregory, okay. All in favor? Aye. Okay, we're stand adjourned.
We're done.